Let's take a look at the numbers. African American per capita net worth, that is what black people actually own as individuals in the society, $10,651 per capita for black folk. For white people in our society, per capita net worth is an average $51,191. In general, you caution blacks to increase their net worth. How can they do it?
Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Black Excellence Daily. I'm your host, Sean Croxton. Thank you for tuning in. We're talking about how to raise your net worth with Kelvin Boston. He is the author of Smart Money Moves for African Americans. He also used to host a finance TV show called The Color of Money, which I believe you can find episodes on YouTube today. Let me start this off by sharing the difference between net worth and income, because I see these get confused pretty often in my Instagram comments. Your income is the amount of money that you make in a year. Your net worth is your assets, which is what you own, minus your liabilities, which is what you owe. And the number left over is going to give you your net worth. So they're not the same. There are people who have high incomes. They make a lot of money in a year, but they have very low net worth. And the reason why is because they take in all this money and then they spend it all. So if you want to have a higher net worth, you want to spend less than you earn. And then what's left over, you want to invest so that money can grow. That's so important. You have to know the difference. Sometimes, I'll post on Instagram, this particular group has a median net worth of, say, $200,000. And in the comments, I'll see, oh my gosh, they on average make $200,000 a year. No, that's income. And also, median does not mean average. Median is if you put all of the numbers in a row, like everybody's income, the one in the middle is the median. So 50% are higher, 50% are below that median number. So again, median does not mean average. And also, net worth does not mean income. So let's talk about how to raise your net worth. You want to own stuff. One thing that I hear frequently in the Black community is we don't own anything, right? And I go, like, it's so easy to own stuff. And you don't even have to have a lot of money to own stuff. You can right now open yourself up a brokerage account, a Vanguard account. I have a Robinhood account. It's on my phone. It's just an app, and it's too easy to use. It's like scary easy to buy stuff. And what you do is you deposit some money, $5, $10, $20, $100, $1,000, whatever you want to do, and you can buy stock in successful companies. You can become part owner of Apple or Nvidia or Microsoft or CoreWeave, and all these companies are, what's the newest one? Circle, which is crushing it right now. You can buy stock in these companies. Now, I know what you're wondering. Which companies should I buy? Like, how do you know which companies you should buy? A very small percentage of my portfolio is actually individual companies. One thing that I'm a big fan of, and this is not investment advice by any means, is just buying index funds. And so, for example, an index fund is a basket of companies. There's one called VTI, an index fund that you can buy, on any brokerage account, and it is the entire market. So you're buying a piece of every company that is on the U.S. stock market. You can do that for the world as well. I think it's VTXUS, right? There's another one called VOO, and that is a basket of the top 500 companies in this country. And so that's the S&P 500. So you buy the entire S&P 500. So you own 500 different companies by just investing in this one fund. Again, it is very, very easy. And the one thing about the stock market is even though there's like up days and down days, and sometimes it can be a bit of a roller coaster, when you step back and you look at the entire forest, not just a tree, which can be a day, not just a little, maybe 6 or 7 trees, which can be a week, but you look at the entire forest, you see that the market over time always goes up in the end. And so if you put your money into one of these funds or into actually not stocks, because stocks can just drop. I'm talking about individual stocks. You never know, especially if you don't know the company very well. But when you buy one of these baskets, right, VOO, VTI, a really broad-based market index fund, it goes up. It goes up over time. It makes your money grow. And so become an owner of that. Last point here. I was watching something and the woman was talking about how Black people, we tend to not invest in the stock market and we do real estate instead. And nothing wrong with that. But if that's the mentality, that can hold a lot of us back from becoming owners. And I say that because in order to buy real estate, you need a down payment. So you're going to have to save, quite a bit of money in order to buy your first property. Also, banks don't like risk. And I think the median Black credit score is 670, no, 620 it is. And that's not really good credit. And so either the bank won't loan us the money for a lot of us, not all of us, of course, but a lot of us, like the bank won't give us the loan because they don't trust our ability to pay it back. Also, if they do give us a loan, we're going to have a very high interest rate because of the risk that the bank is taking. None of that applies to buying stock. They don't ask for your credit score. You don't have to have a lump sum down payment. You can start with $5, $10. You can start with $1 if you want to. Again, there's no real barrier to entry beyond opening up an account, linking it to your bank account, putting some money in there, and starting to invest. And I encourage you to learn more about this. There's a book called Millionaire Teacher by Andrew Hallam. Another one, one of my favorite books ever, The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. And of course, you can read Mr. Boston's book, Smart Money Moves for African Americans. And, last point here, one of the most common pieces of advice that I read in these finance books is invest in broad-based market funds. When you're buying the entire market or you're just buying the S&P 500, that's usually what almost all of them say. And so if almost all of them are saying it, then that would be the smartest thing to do instead of trying to be a stock market wizard, risking lots of money on buying individual stocks. If you're going to buy individual stocks, just allocate 10, 15% of your portfolio to those stocks. And then later on, maybe you're some crazy baller, right? Maybe, lift that a little more as you're able to take on more risk. All right. That's kind of a long intro, but I think this is a pretty short clip. Kelvin Boston's coming up.
Kelvin, can you define for us what net worth would mean for the typical person?
Sure. Net worth is what individual or family actually owns after you look at what their resources and their debt. And what you have left is what you own. One of the things that I'm most concerned about is African Americans begin to concentrate on net worth. It's not important or as important to think, do I make $25,000 a year or $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. If after 5 or 6 years of being in the workforce, if you look at your net worth and it's still $5,000 or $10,000, it really doesn't mean much in terms of what you own and what you earn.
Yeah, you're playing no-win Monopoly, basically.
Exactly.
Let's take a look at the numbers. African American per capita net worth, that is what Black people actually own as individuals in the society, $10,651 per capita for Black folk. For white people in our society, per capita net worth is an average $51,191. Well over $40,000 discrepancy there. In general, you caution Blacks to increase their net worth. How can they do it?
I think we need to start looking at traditional things that has helped all Americans live the American dream. And in our book, we talk about how a family can increase their net worth to $250,000 to $500,000 in 10 years. And we do it by, again, using sound investments that have worked time and time again. These include a financial plan. These include owning a home. These include investing in the stock market. These include buying the right type of life insurance, which I recommend is term. And this also includes owning your own business. And again, if you don't have the temerity to be a business owner, then you should invest in someone else's business through stocks.
The short-term benefits, Kelvin, of increasing your net worth, what might they be?
Well, I think the most important thing is in today's economy, and again, we live in Detroit, Michigan, we know that in this particular part of the world, you can no longer depend on the big three to guarantee a job. You can no longer depend on the government to guarantee your pension. It's up to every family and individual to take control of their own financial future. This is what net worth building, to me, is all about. I think short term, you'll have the wherewithal to sleep at night knowing that if you get a pink slip, you'll be okay because you have some money in the bank.
And long term?
Long term is that you'll increase your net worth for you and your family. I don't get excited about a lot of things. In fact, I always ask myself one question, Daryl. Whenever I'm faced with a big question, my answer is, what difference will it make 100 years from now? If it doesn't make a big difference, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the answer to that question. However, if it's going to make a big impact 100 years from now, I get very serious. When I look at my net worth building, and if I realize that if I can increase my net worth to over $500,000 to $1 million, then that's going to follow my generations for the next 3 or 4 generations to come.
That was Kelvin Boston. He does not have a website. However, you can watch today's talk on YouTube. It is called Kelvin Boston, Increasing Net Worth, American Black Journal. All right, I'm going to see you tomorrow. We got Myron Golden. Then we'll wrap things up with Tyler Perry. I'm out. Peace.